Hello my dear friends, welcome to my channel. Zoe here, originally from China, a language enthusiast, a PhD student in sociology in France. Actually, French is the first foreign language I've learned to speak to proficient level. Yes, not English. I've learned English in school like any normal Chinese students, but I've never practiced it. And I've improved my English after French, after I've learned German, Arabic, Turkish, and Persian. The more languages I learn, the faster I can learn the next language. Of course, it depends on the difficulty of that language. But basically, I have more experience, my toolbox of effective methods, and I know how to avoid some of the mistakes I made before. That's what I'm gonna talk about today. If you like this video and if you think it's helpful, don't forget to give me a like and subscribe to my channel. The first mistake I made was that I was always worried about the judgment of others. This is the main obstacle to practicing speaking. Many people have a good knowledge of language, but they can't speak. I know we make so much effort to learn a language. We want to talk to people, but sometimes when we try to say something, especially in the beginning, people don't understand us, or some people mock our accent. This attitude makes us feel uncomfortable, frustrated, and we make more mistakes while speaking, and we become more and more afraid to speak. But if we don't speak, how can we progress? First of all, you can't speak a language perfectly from the beginning. Making mistakes is a very important part of learning the language. And you don't learn a language for others, but for yourself. Your studies, your dreams, the people who give you their opinion, positive or negative, depending on their personality or mood. They don't really care if you speak well or badly. They have their own life to worry about. But whenever you have an opportunity to practice that language, it will only benefit you, not them. Especially you make mistakes, people correct you politely or rudely. Especially the rude one, I'm sure you will no longer make the same mistake. I would like to tell you a story, a bit sad but very inspiring. I have a Syrian friend. She has been in France for almost 5 years. Her French accent is flawless, better than mine. When I first met her, I thought she was born in France. I asked her, how can you speak French perfectly? Are you talented or did you do some special exercise? She said, Zoe, you know what? I had a strong Arabic accent. And sometimes people couldn't understand me. I was obliged to change my accent. I was working in a store. You know, when you have to sell something, you have to speak well. All my colleagues make fun of my accent. Sometimes I said something wrong. They teased me. They even said that I speak French so badly that my husband and I won't find a decent job here. That we should go to the Arab neighborhood and only work with Arabs. I didn't say anything. Every time they criticized my accent, I noted in my head and corrected. When I go home, I check the word and repeat it 100 times with the voice in the dictionary until I don't have any accent. There are a lot of layers in this story. I mean, a lot of sociological analysis. That maybe in another video we can talk about this topic, like accent and the experience of being immigrant, refugee, or foreigners in different societies, which is actually my research field. Leave in the comments and tell me if you like this idea. Okay, back to the topic. Those people who have made fun of my friend's accent would have discouraged and destroyed her. But they make her stronger and better. My point is that if you are a native speaker, don't easily judge other people's accent in your native language regardless of their background. If you are learning a language, don't get frustrated easily if others don't understand you. Another story, I was in a train in France. You know, in France we have the seat face to face, like this. There is a table in between. While I was sitting there, I heard a girl in front of me talking on a telephone in Persian with the Iranian accent. After she hung up the phone, I asked her directly in Persian, Irani hasti? And then she replied, Are Farsi baradi? And then I replied, Bale alan Farsi yad migiram. We were so happy. We were chatting for 3 hours in the train. Sometimes I didn't know the words how to say in Farsi, and then she helped me find words. She said that she was alone in France. She was very happy to find someone who speaks her language. Before, I was always worried about other people's opinions. Sometimes I want them to be impressed. Sometimes I want to impress them. Actually, it's super toxic. I have changed my mindset completely. The purpose of learning a language is not to show off your abilities or intelligence, but to communicate and connect with people. That's the basic function of a language. Starting my YouTube channel is also a way to overcome this fear of others' judgment. Here on YouTube, most of the people are very kind. You guys give me a lot of compliments. We encourage each other. Some people give me constructive criticism. I always appreciate it. They take their time, write me long comments to tell me to pay attention to the pronunciation of this or that letter. I should do this or that to sound more natural. And of course, some people criticize me, even aggressively. I've received criticism for the accent of all the languages I speak, including English, French, and Chinese. Yes, my native language, Chinese, like you have a strong Thousand Guangxi accent, or I can't understand when you speak English. If you go to Iran, people won't understand a word you say. I don't want people to think German is as ugly as what you speak. Guys, there are always people who don't like you for any reason. There are always people who judge easily by ignoring your efforts. You can't change their views. The most important thing is that you know yourself, your level, your goals. Don't be distracted by these kind of opinions. Focus on your work. If you realize that you need to practice more, just go and talk to people. There are many language exchange applications, websites. Go to the place where you can find native speakers. If people give you compliments, keep yourself motivated and feel grateful. Constructive criticism, take it and correct your mistakes. Mockery, just ignore them. Another mistake I made is that I didn't know how to manage my expectations. I still remember I was learning French. I was very ambitious. I wanted to get a C1 level in only 6 months from zero. I told myself that I'm super disciplined, hardworking, and normally I learn things pretty fast. So I made a super intensive study plan. I was studying almost like more than 10 hours per day. After 5 months, I took an online test. Guess what? B1. I was in shock, frustrated, disappointed. I said to myself, no, I'm far from my dream. I will not be able to apply the master in France. Yes, I was like a bit drama queen. Then after 2 days of depression, I asked myself, did you set a wrong goal from the beginning? You did your best. That's your limit. Learning a language takes time to use, to practice, to repeat. What I have learned is that it's very important to manage your expectations from the beginning to know yourself and your limits. The second example, I've planned to learn Arabic. I was also ambitious. I said to myself, this time I'm going to be reasonable. I want to reach the C1 level in 1 year, like what I did in French. After 1 year, I couldn't even hold a proper conversation in Arabic because I was doing my master's degree at the same time. I was living in an Arab country. I didn't have the condition to study full time and have an immersion like while I was learning French. And this language is much more complicated than I imagined. It's a completely new system than the language I knew. New alphabets, pronunciation, grammar. If I can memorize a lot of French words because they are similar to English, Arabic, I couldn't find any link to memorize the words. I had a period of frustration because of the wrong expectation. I didn't understand my own situation and I didn't take into account the difficulty of the language as well. Even now, after 3.5 years, I can use Arabic in my research to do interviews with people and some observation in my field work. I still have a lot of difficulties because it's really difficult. But this time, I'm more patient. I concentrate on my daily and weekly task and let time speak. So when you ask someone, how long does it take you to become fluent in a language? I mean, it's great to have a benchmark. It can motivate you. But ask that person, how did he or she learn that language? How much time do they spend on it every day and every week? Do they have an immersion environment? How difficult is this language in relation to their native language? You can then assess your own situation and decide if it's reasonable to set the same timeline, or if you should take more time. Another thing you need to know is that it takes some time to find your rhythm and really know your ability to study. So don't be afraid to change your goal, your plan, your expectation. We know ourselves better by learning and making mistakes. I used to believe that the more intensity I learned, the faster I could speak a language well. I ignored the fact that language is not only a mechanical accumulation of sounds, words, and grammar. It's also a way we perceive the world, we interact and exchange with people. We express our thoughts and feelings. We build the link with a new culture, which takes time to observe, to practice, to learn. That's why in many of my videos, I always say, do it less but more regularly and with more focus. Do you think that if you study 5 hours a day, you can learn more than someone who studies 2 hours? Not really, actually. It's not the length of a time that matters, but your productivity, your concentration, and how you organize different tasks and exercises. Studying may just mean you sitting down and doing some exercises, but that doesn't mean you've really learned, understood, and know how to use it. So normally in my study routine, whether it's for an hour or 2 hours, I always try to combine these 3 parts: learning new things, reviewing old things, and practicing. A lot of people have jobs, studies, families, but even you have only 15 or 30 minutes, but you study with high concentration, you can do it every day. You can see progress over time. I've learned Turkish and Persian like that. Another thing I want to say is that sometimes the intensive pace of work can burn you out. You really have to pay attention. Here's a story. People ask me how many Enki class I study every day. I will tell you that it depends. When I was in Egypt, I kinda have this immersion environment. I was on vacation, I didn't have the work, so I was able to learn at least 100 new words and review 250 flashcards a day because basically I was studying every day and I was able to use them every day. But now I'm in France. I have work and I'm learning different languages at the same time. It's not realistic at all to keep that pace. But obsessed over finishing the same amount of flashcards was just stressing me out. I was completely burnt out and it was super counterproductive. Every morning I woke up thinking, oh my god, today I have to review 2-hour flashcards. It just made learning Arabic dreadful. So I no longer obsessed by flashcards. I prefer to focus on using new words to talk about my ideas, even just 3 or 5 new words a day, for example. When I watch a video in Arabic, I've learned 10 new words and some nice sentence structure, for example. The first thing I do is not to put them in my ink deck, peel them up and wait to repeat them. I just write them down and make similar sentences that relate to my life, my research, and my thoughts. Sometimes I will try to write a story using that all. It's actually pretty awesome. I feel like it's more fun than just revising flashcards. You have to listen to your body sometimes. Find your rhythm. Take a break to allow your brain to absorb the information. It takes time to create a connection between what you see and what you want to say in that language. Rather than pushing yourself to learn lots of new words, new lessons, sometimes I prefer to stop. Just review, watch old videos I've already watched, talk to myself, read my old diaries in that languages. So this is the end of the video. I always say that learning a language depends more on your mental strength than your intelligence. I hope you can learn something from my mistakes. Write in the comment if you have any question and share with others what kind of mistakes you have made in language learning. If you like this video, don't forget to give me a like and subscribe to my channel. Bye guys!